Yes, it's hammer time.
Yeah.
Welcome back to...
Have to do the theme, right?
Yeah.
The intro theme.
So welcome back to Diablo 2, everyone. And last time was a pretty hard-fought thing. It was really tough to get anywhere.
You died a couple of times.
I did, but I want to show people exactly the difference between Players 1 and Players 8 before we get fully started here. So I'm going to go like this, just to demo something. We'll switch it back to Players 1 for a sec. I'll go to the crystalline passage where we were going through last time. And you'll see, remember how many hits things took last time to kill? Everything we encounter will one-shot on Players 1.
Wow. So,
like, nothing will stand a chance against us, right? So, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to switch back to Players 8 here. And then reload the game just to reset the enemy spawns back to Players 8. And lock my mouse back in the window. But I just wanted to show that off. All of our struggles in regards to this, most of it comes from Players 8. You would not struggle like this if you were simply playing Players 1, Diablo 2.
How come you have to retrace your steps through here again?
Because the next area that we need to go to is somewhere in the crystalline passage.
Oh.
And I think one of these exits is where I'm supposed to go.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember which one,
So
though.
not only did you come in here to rescue that chick, whoever that was the last time around, but this is also a place where you have to pass through.
That's right. This is like a hub place, like everything leads here. And I already don't remember where everything goes either. Man, Hireling needs to get his ass in gear. What do we pay him for? Oops, I didn't want to click on that. Oh, damn it. Now we killed Hireling because I accidentally clicked on the waypoint thing.
Oh.
We'll just town portal back and get him back up in commission. Yeah,
So
I wish that in order to interact with items in the environment that you had to hold down a button, so that if you like held down a button in order to like pick up an item, or held down a button in order to like activate a waypoint, you wouldn't accidentally activate them.
Yeah.
It would be better that way. Wow, he just got smoked. We're about to get smoked.
Now you're getting it too.
Yeah, I need to run around these guys. Well, encountering 4 super strong enemies like this right off the bat wasn't so great either.
Yeah.
One of them got stuck over there, but I need to get like 3 of them stuck in the same place. Yeah, that's not going to happen that way. Actually, if I can get inside the room there, I might be able to get only 2. No, we've still got 3. We're not going to do 3 at once. That's just dumb. And then there's number 4, or number 5.
Yep, you just spilled over into a new area, and now there's tons of those things.
Well, it's just the champion ones that I've got to get rid of here. But that's not going to happen. We got to resurrect Buddy anyways, so we'll just go back and not bother wasting a town portal or anything, and we'll resurrect Buddy again.
Yes, warrior.
Again. It's a good thing we make lots of money, because we spend lots of money resurrecting his ass over and over again.
Yeah. Well.
But if he would come and he would activate his defensive aura first, like if he would activate it right now without me having to do anything, then he would survive a lot longer. The problem is he doesn't activate it until he takes a certain amount of damage. And against enemies that strong, like a semi-boss pack like that, which is basically what that is, it's like a boss pack without a boss, basically. He takes so much damage so quickly that he dies before he ever actually activates his aura. Now, I wish I could give him a command to wait there, too, because he'll kind of just, like, waltz out into this area and draw a bunch of enemies that we don't want to fight, which is also annoying.
Yeah,
so
but you got to take into account how old this game is. I mean,
I don't have to take into account of it. I can just sit here and bitch and complain the entire time.
they probably didn't have the ability to do some of those things. Oh, now you got a different type of enemy anyway.
That's okay. We're just going to draw them back here anyways. Yeah. Alright.
You know, like...
I just need to keep an eye on him.
When I complain about Baldur's Gate 3 and their control scheme that they have there, they... You know, that's a relatively new game, and they definitely had the ability to do some of the things that I wish they had done, right?
I mean, they could have implemented the ability for that, but if you want to know, for example, why I run into this far corner, it's to get him to pull back into the middle of the room. It's not that I need to run into that corner. I'm manipulating his behavior.
Oh.
Right? Because I don't want him running out there and engaging all those succubi. I want him to come here and stand in this room. And then I want the succubi, who are all over here, to kind of sit around this corner so that I can whack them to death with his hammer. Is the defender really worth picking up?
That's something I think we talked about before, is that Baldur's Gate 3 is a really good game and I'm enjoying playing it, but I wish they had the ability to toggle the point of view between the third-person view that they have and first-person view, right?
Yep. Okay, let's see if she'll follow us. Because I don't know what's beyond her either, which is why I don't want to just go after her. And we don't have a lot of room right now. We're trying to recreate that room because all of the enemies that we previously fought have all respawned now, right?
Yeah. But it's funny how they did all these graphical upgrades since Diablo 1, but as far as I'm concerned, to tell you the truth, this game doesn't really interest me to the degree that Diablo 1 did.
No. Well, I think Diablo 1 is a much more tactical game. I think that's its advantage. And also, too, it's a bit, perhaps, with the way it's designed, a bit more relatable to previous D&D experiences. Like, it's very obvious that that's kind of where Diablo derives from, right?
Yeah.
But, whereas in this game, I'd say again, like, and I've said it before, one of the greatest flaws of this game, I think, is how rigid the character class structures are.
Yeah.
Whereas in Diablo 1, one of the things that made it interesting was like, yeah, you started as a warrior, but you can cast spells if you really want to, if you really want to work at it. And you can do all right at it. You'll never be as good as a sorcerer at it, but, you know... And again, like, that's also, I think, part of the draw of, like, the Elder Scrolls games and stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's, I guess, character flexibility, right?
That's right. Okay, I think we've got room now. We don't have to worry about falling back so badly anymore.
Yeah, you can play any way you want, and,
Yeah, well, I think, too, a lot of these special abilities and stuff, they were made to try to make the game more interesting, because, like, I mean, I guess as a warrior in Diablo 1, for at least for the first 20 levels or so, you spend a lot of time doing this.
Yeah.
But honestly, I like doing that.
Well, you spend a lot of time doing that now.
Yeah,
that's almost all you do now.
I'd rather just do that anyways. But the difference is they try to make it so that you have to manage a resource. So they want you to manage your mana intake, or in my case, because I refuse to use mana, they want you to manage your health, right? Although, as you saw in Players 1, that isn't even relevant because we just kill everything in one hit, right? Nothing has enough health for us to significantly harm ourselves. And the fact that we can heal ourselves off corpses would make that even less relevant. I don't know what's up in this corner, but I'm hoping it's where we need to go. I don't know if we've even found where we need to go yet. We may have.
You got some speedy ones there.
Yeah, well, the archers, they tend to sprint. But it's okay if they want to sprint and they want to get trapped in a corner, that's fine. I'm not gonna stop them from that. I'm not going to complain. And honestly, because our magic resistance is so high, it's better if we encounter magic enemies under most normal circumstances, because they can't really hurt us like the physical enemies can. Which is kind of the opposite of what you... Well, I guess it is somewhat still like Diablo 1 when you start to get into Hell, because you might remember how I had to tippy-toe through the first part of Hell in Diablo 1 on Hell difficulty, just because of how overwhelming the knights were.
Yeah, it was all about the tactics, right?
That's right. But the tactic system is a lot easier to... Like, it's a lot easier to fight tactically in that game than it is in this game. Because in this game, they wanted you to build your characters around doing large area effect damage rather than fighting singular enemies, which is why they throw so many enemies at you, too.
Yeah.
But, I don't know, the thing about that is, too, is, if you tried using, like, we have an area effect skill that we could start to get for melee combat called Zeal, which would allow us to hit up to 5 enemies at once in
so it's
very
like
rapid
it's basically
succession.
a sweep attack, kind of, right?
Yeah, but the damage output on it is like 1/10 of what we do, which is why I'm not using it, because we would literally break our hammer or break our weapon before we actually manage to kill anything. It would take forever, and keep in mind monsters regenerate just like they do in Diablo 1, so... Anyways, there was nothing up in that corner. I was hoping there was something up in that corner, there was nothing. Okay, we got some archers, so we're just gonna draw them out, because I don't feel like chasing them. So even though we have lots of cold resistance, cold damage is still annoying. If I could get something along the effects of cannot be frozen, that would be ideal. Because then we wouldn't slow down so much, but, you know, at least I'm not taking damage from their attacks, right? Oh wow, that doesn't connect. I thought that might have connected. I think this downward passage on the map here is where we went last time, so I think we need to go to the other passage that I discovered.
It's always the last place you look.
Yeah. But in case people are wondering about the shocking difference of Players 1 versus Players 8, it's basically because enemies have 500% less health.
Yeah, well, Players 1 is a single-player mode, and Players 8 is if you've got, like, 7 other people playing with you? Is that
That's
what
right.
that is?
7 other people playing with you. Although, I don't know, if you had 7 other people playing with you, I can't see anybody actually being able to kill things.
I can't see you be able to navigate from one side of the screen to the other. Because what I found in Diablo 1 playing co-op, it was hard enough to get 2 people to agree to do the same thing.
Oh, well, I guess I'd say, in the PC versions of Diablo, you don't share a screen. So you both have your own screen and can move freely throughout the dungeon.
Oh.
So you don't have to worry about it. And that even goes for, like, the Diablo 1 PC version.
Okay.
You don't have to worry about sharing a screen or anything.
Yeah. So the console version, like what we were playing, that's a difference between them, hey?
That's right. And it probably is because they didn't have a high enough resolution to split the screen properly, because you have to keep in mind, Diablo wants to display in 480p, right? And a PlayStation's native resolution is 480p. So if you split the screen, you'd have to render the game in 240p, and it would probably look like crap. Never mind the fact that you'd be splitting it on a 4:3 aspect ratio rather than a 16:9 aspect ratio. So, you know, there are legitimate reasons why Diablo on the console is made the way it is. I wonder how much a cracked Legend Sword sells for.
I guess you're about to find out.
Yeah, well, I kind of want to make some... 5 grand, wow. Broken shit sells for like 6 grand. And then we have this Necromancer thing. This is one resurrection of Buddy right there. Just from that alone. We'll pick up that Gothic axe and sell it too. Okay, I gotta stuff it in the cube. And then identify it. And then portal back again. And then drop some shit on the ground.
Good afternoon.
Alright, I gotta take it out of the box first, into my inventory, and then sell it. And that's another 10 grand. Pick up our things again.
That's another thing that kind of bugs me a little bit about this game, is that you literally fill your inventory with all of these things, right?
Yeah.
You know, to the point where your inventory is so full that you have a hard time being able to even pick up treasure items and things like that, right?
Well, I think a bad thing about it too, what makes it particularly bad, is that the reason we carry most of this stuff around is for magic resistance.
Yeah, but why do those things have to be so big? Why can't they be like a, you know, an amulet that takes up one box in your...
Well, actually, I'd say
space?
They don't have to be, and they could be, because if you remember in Diablo 1, you could get something called an obsidian ring. An obsidian ring could have anywhere from 30 to 35% magic resistance on it, of it versus all types. So it was fire, lightning, and magic in that game, which were the resistances. So you could have an amulet and a ring that gives you plus 35% resistance, and that's 70% out of 75% resistance, right? 75% being the max, and 70% being very close to the max, right? And then if you had a third piece of resistance gear on your ring, then you'd have well over 75% resistance on your rings and amulets.
Yeah, it just seems to me like a charm should be more like an amulet that you would equip, not, not this great big huge thing that you carry around in your backpack, right?
Well, just continuing my point there, though. See this prismatic amulet that gives us all resistances plus 20?
Yeah.
That's as good as it gets in Diablo 2. There is no plus 35 resist all.
Yeah.
That doesn't exist. And that's part of the problem, is that...
from what I see there, like, more than 3/4 of your inventory space in your backpack there is taken up by all those charms, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
But resist all doesn't exist in this game, basically, right? Like, I can't find 20% resist all on a ring. I can't even find 20% resist all on a ring because of how this game is designed. So I will never hit my resistance max with rings and amulets alone, right? Probably the highest I could get is like maybe 50% resist all on rings and amulets. But then you need to keep in mind on nightmare difficulty, you also suffer a minus 25% resistance penalty.
Yeah.
So I'd be 25% resist all. Now, if I have the expansion installed, which I do, we get that potion that we got from Anya last episode, which gives you plus 10% resist all. So that's 35% resist all on Nightmare that I could achieve. But then I think the resistances are like minus 75% on Hell. Yeah. And so I'd be like minus 45% resistant to everything if I tried to rely on only amulets and rings. Which is why you need all those charms. Yeah. And even the number of charms we have now is insufficient. And part of that is, like, we actually carry around still some charms that do not grant us resist all. And it's because we just don't have access to enough of them, right? Like this charm here that gives us plus 17 life. I'm carrying it around because it gives us additional life, but I'd rather it gives us resistances. Whether it's a resistance to a single element, like this russet charm, or like resistance to like resist all, like this shimmering charm, right? I'd rather have all of that.
I'm just saying, why do those things take up so much space in the inventory? Are they like a...
Because they never designed the game such that you could max out your resistances with a couple of pieces of equipment.
All I'm saying is that those things could take up one box, right?
I mean, they could just use the same system as Diablo 1 too, and just, you know, let me equip a couple of rings and amulets and have my magic resistance. And it's not like you still didn't take damage without resistances. I mean, a max level fireball spell in Diablo 1 does like 800 points of damage. So when you're getting hit by multiple fireballs and you take 75% less damage, well, you're still taking like over 100 points of damage per fireball. right? So it's not like having easy access to 75% resist all is broken or anything. But I don't know, they had a lot of funny ideas when they made this game. That's about as good as I can say it. They had funny ideas when they made this game. But we gotta go back now, because I don't have a potion to give Buddy there.
Oh, he was still stabbing with his spear when you came out of the town portal.
Yep.
Accidentally stabs a town person.
Ah.
They must have signs posted around there. Danger. Town portal zone. Right? Do not enter.
Yo, you see, at least it made sense in Diablo 1, right? Like, you basically make your town portal out in the boonies at the edge of town where nobody lives.
Yeah.
But in Diablo 2, yeah, it's just kind of wherever they put it.
Like right in the middle of the busy street. Although I have to say the streets aren't terribly busy here.
Yeah, well, that's because everybody still just kind of stands around. I mean, some of them move around a little bit, but we got some gems there, I guess. I hate that. See, when they step away from you like that, and you swing with sacrifice, you'll still take damage as if you'd hit them, even if you don't hit them. She can run up here, but I know for a fact that enemies don't spawn near the entryways. So I'll just push her in towards the entryway. It's the same rule as Diablo 1 in that regard.
I can't carry anymore.
We'll just stick it in the thing.
Yep, I'm carrying too much shit I can't carry anymore.
But yeah, and I mean, they did all kinds of other things too. So like, for example, another negative thing that they did in Diablo 2 is your chance to block decreases every time you level up.
That's weird. Is that a bug?
No, that's a feature.
Why?
Because they wanted you to put like 180 points into your dexterity rating. So that you wouldn't end up with 1100 hit points like what we have. Or so that you would have to play a different character like a barbarian and use special abilities to boost your hit points in order to get this amount. Basically, dexterity is a level up sink. And a scam.
Oh.
Which is why I devised ways of not having dexterity. Like, we still haven't put a single level up into dexterity. And we never will. Now, if we were to go sword and shield, a paladin is unique in that he can get his max block rating for level 99 with something like 137 dexterity. So we'd only have to put 117 points into dexterity. But that's still 117 points. I mean, like, what's 120 divided by 5? Right? Like 100 divided by 5, well 50 divided by 5 is 10, so 100 divided by 5 is 20. And then 20 divided by 5 is 4, right? So we'd have to spend 24 level ups alone on dexterity. Just to get max block chance. Which is ridiculous. That's 24 level ups that we could have put into health. So. Okay, those guys are dangerous. Draw them back over to the stairway here, man. No, we don't want to fight. Well, yeah, we can fight them here, but... Ooh, that's bad. That's really bad. Okay, we're just going to go back through this area temporarily. And heal up and maybe go back to town and buy more healing potions.
Yeah, this game is very item dependent too, right?
Yes.
Like, as opposed to, you know, like characters being able to develop abilities to help them survive, right? You you need to be equipped with all the right items.
Well, especially in regards to, like, your resistance stuff. Basically, I'd say, under normal circumstances, for a normal character build, we are not a normal character build, but the things that you need is you need as much damage as possible. You need as much chance to hit as possible if you're a melee character. Or like a ranged combat character. There are some abilities that you don't need to have an attack roll check for, but they're not very common. And then you need to have as much health as possible, and then you also need to max your resistances. And it's kind of like a shit show of trying to match all those things up. But for us, well, we only have to worry about damage and health and resistances, because I've taken chance to hit out of the game. And the way I did that is with our Conviction aura, which reduces enemy defenses by 90%. Wow, those guys are bulky. Those guys are so bulky. Let's just go through the portal again. And then maybe we can re-come back. If I draw them away there and then portal away again, then maybe I can sort of try to thin them out. Let's see.
Just got to make sure you don't run out of town portal scrolls too, hey?
Yeah, well, I've got plenty yet. We'll kind of draw them over here. And then do that, and then we'll take the waypoint to go back to where we need to be. And hopefully we don't have to deal with too many of them off the bat. I might even take, like, the other way. But we'll go back to the Crystalline Passage, and we'll walk all the way back to where we used to be. And it's a bit of a hike. Oh yeah, this is not the route that I cleared. I cleared the other route, the internal route. And now I'll have to kill these two succubi and go the other way. Yeah, I don't really care if I get hit by a small little firebolt at this point. We have so much health, a little firebolt isn't going to do anything. Guess now is a time that I could use the run toggle key so that I can drink my drink while we get back there.
It's an epic journey.
Yeah. Although we have almost bottomless stamina because of how much health we have. But it's also another contradictory thing too, like the Paladin has the smallest hit point gain out of just about any other class except the Sorceress. So in spite of the fact that he's like a combat melee character, he's actually very fragile.
He's all about the offense.
Pretty much. Okay, we gotta make sure that Buddy there doesn't attract things that we don't want. I don't even know where that skeleton came from, but he won't get back up if something revived him. You know, I think basically they meant the Paladin to be kind of like a supporting character and a hybrid spellcaster kind of thing. But I'm not really interested in that. I just want to play a melee combat character. And if you're going to play melee combat solo on players 8, then part of the problem is that you won't do enough damage as a barbarian in order to actually be viable. Ouch. I mean, mind you, we're also somewhat lucky in that we found this hammer.
Yep.
Because this hammer basically doubles the damage output that we would normally have. Of course, we would just have like a regular hammer with probably a Malice rune word if we weren't here. So, or like one of those hammers that I picked up, or axes that I picked up that had a strong plus damage enchantment on them. We might use one of those as well. Okay, we attracted another one of these guys.
Now you got a crowd of them.
That's okay, I just want to see if I can kill this one. If I can kill one, even if Buddy dies, then killing 3 is less hard. Oop, shit. Shit! Shit! Yeah, I can't exit because I dropped my gloves on the ground by accident. So, that sucks.
How did you drop your gloves on the ground by accident?
Imprecision with the mouse. And part of that is probably due to the fact that I have it on an armrest rather than a proper mouse pad. So I'll have to pick up that and then pick up my gloves separately. Which is kind of annoying. And hopefully I can do that without dying too many times. But also, too, I might not wanted to restart anyways, because then I would have had to come through this shit show all over again. Though I bet you I probably might not have died if I hadn't accidentally taken off my gloves. So we'll see.
How did you do that? Did you actually enter your inventory? I never noticed.
Yes, I accidentally entered my inventory. We'll draw them out here. Get my shit. Drink a healing potion. Come back in here. Use a portal. Got my gloves back. Now I can go resurrect Buddy. But yeah, the melee combatants are the ones that are deadly to us. Magic users? Oh, they're a walk in the park. But also, too, that's part of the reason why I wanted to stay in there and fight that one guy until he was completely and totally dead. Because one guy completely and totally dead is one less guy that can kill us, which means that my hireling is going to die 25% less fast when I go back in there. I'd actually rather he activate his aura first, though. And he won't even activate his aura. See, he hasn't activated his aura yet. Which is part of the pain in the ass about this. Is I want him to activate that defensive aura.
Well, you think that he would have when he was being attacked right away, right?
Well, especially because of how low he ended up getting there, right? But I want him to activate the defensive aura because then he can stand toe-to-toe with those guys. Okay, and he finally activated it this time. Yeah, we are playing on Player's 8. I had to check that, because it seemed like I killed that one guy way too fast. And no, he was just... I guess he must have had less hit points than the others, because they do have hit point ranges, I think. But yeah, that's part of the hazard, right, of the mouse controls, is accidentally doing that, and of course we don't actually have... Town Portal on a hotkey because we don't want to accidentally Town Portal when we're trying to switch skills. Okay, we've got 2 guys there, so we're going to run back to the entryway, assuming our hireling is smart enough to actually follow us. And hopefully one of those guys got lost. No, neither of them got lost, but the spellcasters got lost, so that's a plus. And see, as long as he has his aura up, he takes significantly less damage, right? Because what that aura does is it basically doubles his defense. Like, I don't even think, for us, it boosts our defense up to 1,000 points. So for him, what is his defense rating? 5,491 with that aura up. And so he needs to have that aura up, or else those guys will just chew through him like butter. But once he has that aura up, their chance to hit him is probably like 30%. Whereas their chance to hit us is like 60% with that aura up, and it's probably like 75% with the aura down. Anyways, I'm just going to come south a little bit and make sure there's nothing to draw over here. Because we've still got these 5 guys sitting over here that we have to worry about, right? There's one of them. 2 of them, I think, we're drawing there. No, hireling, come on. Come on, hireling.
He wasn't being very helpful there.
Well, he's still giving me his passive for the defense, right? Like, I get that as long as he's within the area. Which is part of why we actually keep him around, because he doesn't actually do that much damage. His damage is 265 to 640. I could do that with a regular one-handed sword. He has to use a two-handed spear to do that much damage, but I could do it with a regular one-handed sword. But we don't really want him getting out in front of us anyways, because he has a tendency to just, like, walk ahead and right into, like, large packs of enemies, and it's really fucking annoying.
It's funny, but after playing Baldur's Gate 3 and Pool of Radiance, those numbers seem so inflated.
They are inflated. They're completely and totally inflated. Because, keep in mind, too, the kind of damage we're doing right now is, like, what 150 points of damage in Diablo 1 is.
Yeah. Or what 15 points of damage in the Pool of Radiance is.
Well, probably like because keep in mind, it's probably the closest thing you'd get is like a multiple attack fighter. So 15 points of damage, 2 attacks per round.
Yeah, well, that is actually a huge number for Pool of Radiance, right?
Yeah. Although perfectly achievable, especially if you have the right weapon against the right enemy.
Yeah. Ugh. But still, I mean, you're fighting, you know, like trolls that have 33 hit points or something, right? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, 33 hit points when a standard character is going to say, let's say they use the longsword trope. Say they're all doing 1d8 damage, and maybe they have +1 or +2 from a strength bonus.
yeah.
Right? Well, 30 hit points is a lot of hit points. You have to hit something like...
You know, 6 or 7 times.
Yeah.
If you roll
near the top.
good numbers.
Probably 8, 9, or 10 times.
Yeah.
Which is why, again, you go the polearm route and you hit that troll for 15 points of damage.
Yeah. Yeah, then you only usually have to hit it for about 3 or 4 times.
That's right. Okay, so progress is being made, slowly but surely.
Yeah.
I like going to the right better, but I want to get to the fountain down here, so...
But still, it shows the difference, like what exactly number inflation is, right?
Yep. Okay, well, I'm just going to let him do that, because...
And I
here comes an enemy.
I don't know that they necessarily needed to scale things in this game the way they did.
No, I don't think so either. I mean, even in Diablo 1, while the numbers were somewhat higher than they were in D&D, if you think about it, a longsword in Diablo 1 does 2 to 10 damage, and your strength gets added to that. And basically, I think, you know, you might be doing like, I don't know, 50 or 60 points of damage with a longsword if you're like max level on hell difficulty.
Yeah.
Per hit.
Which is still kind of inflated, really.
Yeah. Or you might be doing, say, if that longsword has a, like, damage bonus, like it's a king's longsword, then you might be doing closer to 100 points of damage. But if every enemy, like a Blood Knight on Hell difficulty, has 600 hit points, then, you know, you still have to hit him 6 times in order to kill him.
Yeah. Well, what's your theory? Why the number inflation?
I think it's because bigger number makes dopamine go off in brain. I think basically it's a mental retardation thing, and consumers are mentally retarded, and they want to see bigger numbers instead of solid game mechanics. Because we're up to a point now where, you know, we're not just in the thousands anymore. Diablo 2 is way behind the curve in terms of the number inflation. We're talking games where you can do like tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of points of damage in a single hit, and enemies have millions of hit points now.
That's crazy.
Yeah, not only is it crazy, it's a waste of memory, because if you think about it, a 16-bit number that can store values from 0 to 65,536 is 2 bytes in size. A number that can store a number in the millions is 4 bytes in size. And so, you're fundamentally wasting storage space to inflate the number count. And I mean, you could say, like, maybe they're doing it because they want to hard wall certain players of certain levels out of certain areas before they've done certain things. So, like, you can't just run to the end of the game and if you do enough damage, then kill the last boss just because you're level 12. Maybe that's the reason why.
Yeah, but that's what you can use,
there are other exploits people use anyways, and furthermore, if you're actually able to survive at level 12 and kill the fucking last boss of the game, good for you. That's a skill thing.
But that's what you can use tags for, right? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if I'm using the right word because I can't find it, but for example, Fallout 4, you can't actually go into certain areas until you have accomplished another specific thing.
Yeah. Although speedrunners...
global variables, I guess, or something like that, right?
You know, it's basically just like a flag. And basically, the thing about it is speedrunners do find ways around that anyways. Like, even for this game, speedrunners in Diablo will speedrun this game for Paladin in 13 hours. Which is really fast. For a sorceress, it's like 4 hours. For normal Nightmare Hell. But for a Paladin, it's like 13 hours.
Yeah.
But they basically just bug and glitch their way through half the game and, you know, get their way through all of the quests and ignore all the ones that don't matter and just skip them, and then they just need to be able to do enough damage to kill things and be tanky enough to survive.
Yeah, but then, you know, like, those people are the...
elite of the elite.
Yeah, they're the exception to the rule, right? You know, like, I'm not looking to, even if I could, I don't think I would look to speed run through a game anyway, because I think that most of the fun is getting there, right?
It depends. I mean, different people get different things out of different games, but, like, for example, I think that if somebody actually figures something out like that, you might as well just let them do it. Yeah. And also, again, too, like, the idea of having millions of points of damage, I mean... Why did we even go in that direction? Why didn't we go fractional damage? Although we already technically had fractional damage in some games anyways. But why did we even need that level of fine granularity to begin with?
You remember that old board game that came out some years ago, Descent?
Yeah.
Right? Well, they deflated numbers a great deal, right?
That's right. Back to something sort of approaching D&D.
Well, actually even smaller than that, because you had giants that would have, like, 18 hit points kind of thing, right? Or health points. But then the attacks that you're doing are, you know, like, you're rolling dice and counting, even if you count all of the points of damage and the bonuses and things like that you get. Even with some of the more powerful weapons in the game, you might do 8 or 9 points of damage.
Yeah.
Right? Of course, they didn't have the level advancement in that game that you do in a lot of games of that type. But
yeah, in a way, I would say the number inflation of damage is actually a form of dumbing down.
Yeah.
And also, too, I would personally argue that making the numbers as inflated as they are does, in fact, adversely affect the balance of a game, because it makes a game logistically harder to balance. Right? How do you balance numbers even in the thousands? Like, I think Diablo 2 doesn't even do a good job of balancing numbers in the thousands. And in numbers in the millions, I mean, well, you're not going to balance those.
What games have those that high of?
Mostly, Japanese and Korean types of RPGs. One that sort of started the whole trend towards that was a game which I didn't have a lot of experience with, called Maple Story, which was made many, many, many years ago. But, like, all kinds of modern MMOs and other things like that also have damage ranges that are very, very high like that now. So, you know, it's pretty common these days. For something more like Diablo here, you might still be looking at something in the thousands, but even Diablo 3 is more inflated than Diablo 2, right? With hit point numbers.
There was no Diablo 3.
There is no Diablo 3, but you get what I'm saying, right? The inflation never stops, and every game and every generation that comes after just inflates the numbers more. And for me, I'm just like, first of all, you're not going to balance numbers that big because you can't conceptually understand numbers that big. Except for, like, on paper as part of a fucking math equation. Ooh, okay, those... We need to pull back. That's a lot of ranged fire. That's a lot of density. There, buddy. I brought you back. By drinking water from the well. Water is miraculous. But so is Diet Pepsi, and I've got this new, like, vanilla flavoring called Torani. It's like French vanilla Torani.
Yeah, you're actually dumping stuff into the Pepsi in the glass, right?
Yeah, to make it vanilla flavored.
Because they either don't make vanilla flavored Diet Pepsi or it's a seasonal thing or something?
Well, the thing is, as far as I'm aware, so at one point you could buy vanilla Coke all year round in Canada, but that's not the case anymore.
Yeah.
So, vanilla Coke in Canada became a seasonal thing that is only offered in during certain time spans. And that's really annoying to me because I love vanilla Coke. And I'm pretty sure in the United States you can just buy vanilla Coke all year round if you want it. So that's kind of dumb that we don't get that, because we used to. And, or at least I'm pretty sure we used to, because I remember just having vanilla Coke all year round many, many years ago.
That's like Frosted Cheerios, right?
Yeah, well, Frosted Cheerios too. I mean, Frosted Cheerios was a cereal that I grew up on, okay? And I ate Frosted Cheerios every single day. And then one day, when I was well into my adulthood, they stopped selling Frosted Cheerios in stores. Like, you just couldn't get them in Canada anymore. And then for the longest time, you know, there were, like, off-brand names, like President's Choice and the no-name brand that still made them. And so you could still buy those versions of Frosted Cheerios and eat those, but now you don't even get that option. Because they just don't exist anymore. So if I want Frosted Cheerios, I'd have to go on, say, like, Amazon and buy them and import them from the States, and it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't know. I wonder, was that like a popularity thing, or...?
No, I don't think so. I think Frosted Cheerios were reasonably popular. I think it's probably some sort of dumb health food thing. I don't know. The government's always trying to be everybody's mommy and daddy in one way or another. And I suppose this is just another one of those instances of that.
Yeah, but why can we still buy things like Sugar Crisp then?
Yeah, I don't know. Or fucking Frosted Flakes.
Yeah, like, you know, at least the Cheerios were a somewhat, you know, frosting aside, were a somewhat healthy, you know, cereal choice, right?
Not that cereal is actually really that healthy anyways, because it's all a lot of sugar. I mean, I think I was showing you once, like, Pop-Tarts versus a chocolate bar for breakfast, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, like, you're not that much worse off eating the chocolate bar for breakfast with how much sugar is in some of these things.
Well, I can't eat Pop-Tarts anyway. They're too sweet.
Well, and even a bowl of cereal is the same. I mean, mind you, the cereal will have other things in it, like thiamine and other sorts of vitamins that your body needs.
Well, the thing is,
but you could just get those from...
You eat the ones like Cheerios or you know, like shredded wheat or Shreddies or something like that, though, and those ones at least have a certain amount of fiber in them. And...
Yeah. Although, really, like, if you wanted to be completely nutritious, you'd eat, like, oatmeal for breakfast.
Yeah.
Right? And you wouldn't add sugar to your oatmeal. Okay, we've got
that's a little bit too plain, though.
Oh, see, that's actually how I eat oatmeal.
Yeah.
I like oatmeal that way.
See, I can remember when I was a kid, and me and my sister would be dropped off at my grandparents' on their farm for, you know, like a couple of weeks in the summertime, right, to visit them.
See this guy?
Yeah, and every day we would, you know, get up in the morning and Grandpa would make us oatmeal for breakfast. And, you know, always had to stir in a little bit of brown sugar into it and all that kind of stuff too, right?
Yep. Well, that sort of thing, it does go good with it, right?
Yeah, but that was their thing, right? You know, and they're eating healthy, living on the farm, and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so you're just letting your buddy there do the job?
Oh, there we go. He's no longer immune to physical anymore. This particular enemy... Oh, there he goes. He's immune to physical again.
Oh.
So can I still... do I do enough elemental damage to hurt him significantly?
I don't see anything going on there at all.
His health is sort of going down sliver by sliver because I do some amount of elemental damage, and so does my hireling. And then eventually his immunity to physical damage goes down by a little bit. But you can see he toggles immune to physical in and out. And I wonder if that's an ability of that enemy's standard, because they do also change colors. And I wonder if when they change colors they get some kind of resistance to physical.
Yeah.
And maybe it gets boosted to immunity to physical because he's a boss monster. But, yeah. We're gonna find a lot more of those immune to physical enemies on Hell difficulty because it becomes a lot more common. And when we encounter them on Hell difficulty, we're just going to ignore them and run past. Because there's nothing that we can really do about it, because we are mostly a pure physical build. And the reason we're a pure physical build is because immune to physical enemies are less common than immune to some element enemies. And also, too, if we wanted to do any kind of elemental damage at all, we'd have to use mana. And I don't want to use mana. Fuck mana. That Ashwood bow might sell for a decent amount. I still gotta recover the funds I used to resurrect Buddy from those stupid, dual-wielding assholes.
That's not what I remember them being called.
I don't remember what they're called. So I'm gonna call them dual-wielding assholes. We'll let these guys come down too. Just so that we don't... you know, 3 is a lot better than, like, 23.
So what are you exactly trying to do here, anyway?
I'm trying to get to the summit of the mountain now, because we need to get to the summit of the mountain, and then we need to pass the trial of the Ancients, in other words, defeat 3 bosses at the same time. And then enter into the Worldstone Keep. So that we can go and kill Baal. Or Baal,
and then that will be the end of it, hey?
Yeah, well, for Nightmare Mode, anyways. Then we'll have to do Hell difficulty, but as I said before, due to complexities and the way some of the enemy damage works, particularly those exploding undead fetishes that we encountered a whole shitload of in Act 3, that I had to let my hireling kill, well, I don't think we can get him to kill them on Hell difficulty on Players 8, because they'll have like 65,000 hit points. And, when they explode, they deal a percentage of their hit points to you. I don't remember what the percentage is, if it's 100% or if it's like just a fraction. But in any case, even a fraction of 65,000 hit points is enough to kill us outright, because we only have 1,150 hit points.
Those things are called Moonlords, not dual-wielding assholes.
Dual-wielding assholes. It's close enough, and it's accurate. They are assholes, and they dual-wield. But yeah, and so because of that particular enemy type, I don't think we can actually even do Hell difficulty on Players 8. We'll have to do it on Players 1. Because if one of those things blows up next to us, I mean, it basically takes us out of the game. If we were playing on Players 8 with other people, we'd basically have to let ranged enemies kill those particular enemy types, because we physically would not be able to approach them and attack them. Because if we did attack them, they would blow up in our face and cause like 65,000 points of physical damage. And there's no resistance to physical damage and no way to avoid that damage, so you'd just die.
And 65,000 is a big number.
Yeah, and 65,000 is a big number. So, you know. Why the hell they included a mechanic like that in the game, I don't know. Because they're retarded and they hate melee characters. But even in previous versions of this game, like for example, there used to be an effect that some of the enemies, spellcasting enemies, would cast on you called Iron Maiden, which reflects all of the physical damage that you do back to you, right? Oh. And the problem with that is if you're a fighter type like we are, and you do like 3,000 points of damage per hit, when monsters have like, you know, 20,000 hit points like they do right now, and we hit a monster, and then all of the 3,000 points of damage get reflected back to us, we'd one-shot ourselves.
Well, see, at the level character that you have right now, they could just divide everything by 10, and it would be a lot, you know, more reasonable in the sounding numbers, right?
They could, yeah, but they won't.
You know.
But in any case, you know, thankfully they actually saw how broken that was for melee class characters and eventually patched it out, so that enemies don't cast Iron Maiden on you anymore. But, yeah, prior to that patch, it was almost impossible to play a melee character without getting killed. There are certain melee builds that you can make that are non-physical builds, and those were basically the only viable melee builds.
Oh.
So, because they patched it out, you can actually get a little bit more variety and actually play the game somewhat normally. Not entirely normally, but somewhat normally, and that's better than nothing. But those undead fetishes, they're really bad because there's no resistance to that damage, and there's no hit check for that damage. It just gets applied to you no matter what, as long as you're within range. So it's just like, well, fuck. Yeah, we just took all that damage because he walked away from us.
Yeah.
What a dick.
See, it says Moon Lord.
Dual-wielding shithead. I don't even know what I was calling them before.
Dual-wielding assholes.
Dual-wielding asshole, dual-wielding shithead. Yeah. Same difference. What makes them bad is the speed of their attack. So, like, the more they hit you, the faster they attack. And also, too, they're kind of chunky. I mean, like, we're doing this amount of damage. It's basically 2,000 to 3,000 points of damage. So we do 2,000 on the low end and 3,000 on the high end, and I have to hit those guys, like, 6 times? Like, they have an absolutely tremendous amount of health. Yeah, that's a lot of different passageways, so we're just gonna draw those guys back here. Oh, look, and that's another good reason to draw those guys back here, because there's one of these assholes around along the way. 3, 4. So if that's 4 hits at 2,000 damage, then that's that guy has 8,000 hit points, and if it's 4 hits at more than 2,000 damage, he probably has closer to 9,000 hit points. Oh, melee enemies. But yeah, I'd say in the game that was not made after this, numbers inflate to this level once you're past normal difficulty. Mm-hmm. So, like, when you're already at, like, basically normal difficulty. Not that I'll ever play that game anyways, and certainly not for this channel. You couldn't pay me money to play that game again, which never came out.
Well, then that would mean you never played it.
I'm not even sure I still have my account for that anymore anyways. Because it was tied to your account as well, and I've changed accounts quite a bit over the years.
So that means it wasn't like a standalone thing where you could just...
Yeah, they tried to tie it into like some always online crap.
Oh, okay. So
it wasn't even like this.
So that sort of thing began quite a long time ago.
That's right. It was one of the first games that had that, or at least one of the first games I played that had that. And I despised that. Like, I was so mad about that. And then I was mad about the fact that you couldn't choose where you wanted to distribute your attribute points when you level up, because the lead developer of the game, some dumbass who, you know, hopefully is gone now and crying in his sleep, decided that it was too complicated for players to decide how they invest their attribute points when they level up.
Yeah.
And so we need to do that for them. And then they also invest a bunch of stuff into worthless attribute points that you don't care about. Again, in that game, the number one most important attribute point is going to be your health.
Yeah.
Because it's balanced in some ways a lot like this game. And of course, if you think this game throws a lot of enemies at you at once and relies on a lot on area effect damage and crowd control, that game is basically just like total like mob spam, right? Like, the mobs come at you and then you kill the mobs, and then the mobs come at you and you kill the mobs. You kill like 20 enemies at a time.
Well, I won't ever buy a game where you have to be online in order to play it.
Yeah, neither will I. Never again.
Because what happens when they decide to shut down the servers for that? Then you've paid for a game. Usually, at least here in the Great White North, you're going to pay like $80 or $100 for a game.
These days, yeah.
These days, a new one. And then 5 years later, they decide to shut the servers down. Like
pretty much, yeah. You're at their mercy. But the thing is, too, is it becomes... This is why I buy all of my games off of GOG now, right? Because I like to actually have physical ownership over my games.
Yep.
And with GOG, you're buying the game. You're not buying a license to play the game perpetually.
Well,
right.
Except that it may or may not be perpetually either. It wouldn't be so bad if it actually was perpetually.
Well, it's perpetual
right?
until they terminate the service.
Yeah, but which will happen eventually.
But keep in mind, too, that technically DRM and always online connectivity, even for single-player games, is classified as a digital lock. And so that is illegal to circumvent in many countries as well. Even if you physically purchased and owned the game, because you didn't actually purchase the game, you purchased the right to play the game.
Yeah, well.
And so by circumventing that digital lock to play something you paid for, or something you figure that you paid for, you're actually committing an act of piracy under the law. Which is just completely twisted and fucked up. Like, I can't believe we've reached that point in society where you can't have ownership of a game anymore.
It's getting to the point where they're expanding that out to appliances and even cars now.
Yep.
And that's so predatory that should be illegal.
It should be illegal. It should have always been illegal.
The people who dreamed that up belong in a deep, dark prison somewhere.
Yep. I couldn't agree more with that.
And apparently even the Teslas are doing that now, right? They have a self-drive feature. And if you want the self-drive feature to work, you have to pay like a monthly subscription. You don't even buy the car anymore. You basically rent it for...
That's nothing, man.
Whatever.
That's nothing. I can't remember. I think it was either BMW or Mercedes. One of the German car manufacturers basically made it so that if you want your seat warmers to work, you have to pay a subscription service.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's a lot of other car manufacturers who've done that with other various features on their vehicles. And I think it's just totally crap. Right? And I mean, you know, maybe they have some argument like, oh, well, it's climate change, so you got to pay this tax in order to heat your ass. It's like, your car, the heaters in your car seats aren't going to cause the ice caps to melt, okay?
Yeah.
But I don't know. That's a whole other issue I don't want to get into, because I'll get ranty and raving about all this stuff. Will never shut me up if we go down this road.
The whole theory about battery-run cars is deeply flawed anyways, because instead of having drilling and refining operations to produce petroleum and that kind of thing, you'll have mining operations to dig up the stuff you need in order to make the batteries. And then once those batteries don't work anymore, well, you can't recycle those things.
They estimate that for an average driver, they last about 5 years, but possibly 10 years if you don't drive much.
But
the lifespan of a vehicle is supposed to be 10 years, so if you have to replace the battery every 5 years, you have to replace it twice per the lifespan of the vehicle. And the problem with that is these batteries are very expensive, and oftentimes they cost about like a quarter as much or even half as much as the vehicle.
Yeah.
And so you're basically buying the vehicle a time and a half again. And vehicles aren't cheap anyways. I mean, we went over like, how a vehicle, like, you'll be lucky if you found a vehicle in this country for like $40,000. And probably for a truck or something like that, you're looking closer at $80,000 for a truck. And, there are vehicles that they make in, say, Thailand, the Toyota Hilux Champ, which is a $10,000 US vehicle that they could just import into the West, and people like me would buy that because I don't need a radio, I don't need, like, air conditioning, I don't need any of that crap. I just want a vehicle that drives from point A to point B. But because of the way that the market is, instead of buying a brand new vehicle that's going to have a new reliable engine and new reliable parts on it and everything else, I'm going to buy a rusted out old 20-year-old vehicle and drive it until it doesn't work anymore, and then buy another rusted out 20-year-old vehicle.
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm not going to spend $40 or $50 or $80,000 on a vehicle. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, but anyway, like I was saying, the whole idea of battery-operated cars is deeply flawed if you think that you're going to help the environment by driving one.
Because you have to mine for the minerals, for the batteries.
Not only that, but you can't recycle those things either right now. They haven't discovered a practical way, because the way that those battery packs are built, you can't actually dismantle them to recover the materials out of them.
Well, and the material recovery is...
Because they're essentially like a great big bomb, right?
Well, and the material recovery is somewhat flawed anyways, so they've been experimenting with various ways to try to recycle the material, but at the end of the day, you have to realize you're basically dealing with if you guys look up how batteries work, you're basically dealing with like chemicals and alkaline metals wrapped together in a package, right? Yeah. That's basically kind of what a battery is, right? Along with like an electrolyte mixture. And you can't really recycle that once it's spent to the point where it has degraded enough. Then there's no really coming back from that.
Well, not only that, but like individual cells are a huge fire hazard. Like the reason that they can't recycle them as well is because a car, like a battery for a electric car, is not like a car battery like the one that has battery acid in it under your hood and all that kind of stuff. It's actually kind of like a giant cell phone battery, right?
That's right, or a giant laptop battery.
Where you've got numerous smaller cells all packed and like basically cemented together into a large package.
That's right.
And they can't separate those small cells without penetrating the covering on them, and when you do that, it creates a dead short, which then can generate a huge amount of heat and cause fires.
Yep.
Right? So you wouldn't be able to, it would be extremely hazardous just to try and take those car battery packs apart so that you could recycle them, right?
Well, in fact, that's why they're made, so that you can't take them apart, because of how hazardous it would be.
Yeah.
And then also additionally too, you have to keep in mind too that just because you switch all the vehicles over to electric doesn't mean you've actually gotten rid of the demand for oil. So first of all, think about all of the things even within a vehicle that are made of plastic. Never mind all of the things that you use in your daily life that are made of plastic, like this keyboard and this mouse and this monitor.
Plastic, folks, is made out of petroleum products.
That's right. And not only that, but for alternative power generation, I mean, ignoring the other things that go into a solar panel, well, many parts of the housing for a solar panel are made of plastic. If you go and you talk about, say, windmills, well, windmills have giant gearboxes, and those giant gearboxes have to have oil in them.
Well, not only that, but they also have, basically there's two different general styles of windmill, right?
Yeah.
And one of them, basically, but the one thing they both have in common is that the speed that the shaft that the big propeller blades are mounted on are designed to turn around 15 RPM, right?
Yeah.
And the only problem is, in order to generate electricity, say with a bunch of rare earth magnets mounted on a shaft inside a huge coil of copper, basically, that's what these things are. Like, that's why the housings on them are so big too.
Yep.
And you have to have that shaft spinning at about 1800 RPM in order to keep the size of the magnet pack that's necessary to a reasonable level.
Yep.
So, the ones that have the gearboxes that basically step the input shaft from about 15 RPM up to 1800 RPM have about 60 kilograms of rare earth magnets mounted on the shaft inside that copper coil. Whereas they have also got ones that are out at sea that are direct in. So basically the magnet mounted shaft is turning at about 15 RPM as well. But in order to generate the same amount of electricity, you need 10 times as much magnet material, right?
Yeah.
So 600 kilograms of rare earth magnets instead of 60. And, you need to dig that stuff up from the ground and process it and basically make it into, the machine parts and everything else. Like, it's...
And then all of the industrial equipment, of course, requires oil in some way, shape, or form as well.
Well, the shafts require bearings to hold them in place and allow them to turn freely.
Well, I mean, even like the industrial equipment in the mining operations to get all these things out of the ground.
Well, I mean, you know what? I can't even begin to imagine what the size of because I used to work in mining industry, and we used, we were in gravel, so it wasn't like we were tar sands. We were using giant equipment. We were using, large-ish industrial equipment, like wheel loaders that weighed 30 tons.
Yeah.
And they had, big 6-cylinder engines in them, like large displacement 6-cylinder engines in them that would generate 300-400 horsepower, right?
Yeah.
Because, the bucket on the front of the loader, when you fill it and lift it, you're lifting 8 or 10 tons of gravel at a time, right?
Yeah.
And the thing is that, these things still have to run on something, and usually these machines run on diesel fuel, right?
Yep.
But I have no idea how big you would have to make one of those things in order to have a battery in it large enough to be able to deliver the same amount of horsepower.
Well, and even if you had a battery in it, you'd probably still need oil for the gearbox in the thing, or else it would probably tear itself apart.
Yeah, well, I mean, any moving parts that are metal against metal have to have some sort of lubrication, right? That's just a given. And it's whether it's oil or grease, right?
Yeah.
One or the other. Basically, the film of lubricant that is on the, in between the moving parts is what shields those parts from wear, right?
Well, and so there's all kinds of problems with this, but I'd also go so far as to say, too, you're also basically in a position where you've got the government telling you what kind of thing you must buy, right? So, like, for example, one of the things that's big in Canada right now that they're trying to push through is the idea of electric vehicle mandates by 2035, where 100% of vehicles sold will have to be electric by then.
Yeah, but then our landfills will be full of spent automotive batteries because they won't be able to recycle the damn things, and it'd be too expensive to shoot them out into space. So, they're either going to have to incinerate them, right? Or, bury them, one or the other.
But it's also incredibly totalitarian in general, because basically you have the government trying to control what you can and cannot do, right?
Which is bad, but the fact that they're misguided makes it worse, right?
Yeah, because it's not even going to have the effect that they want to begin with.
Yeah, because I did work for 10 years in the waste management industry too, and I can tell you that at ground level, at the facility where I worked, where they were trying to recycle a bunch of stuff, that first of all, there's no end market for most of the recycled materials that are produced
Yeah.
from the garbage streams.
It just ends up in the landfill anyways.
It just ends up in the landfill anyway because nobody wants to buy, baled up paper and cardboard and cloth and stuff
mixed in with all whatever waste and everything else.
Mixed in with whatever,
because none of this stuff is pure.
Well, and the thing is that all of this stuff is hand sorted by people standing next to a conveyor belt too.
Yep.
And there's a sort of a balancing act between product quality and required output.
Yep.
Right. And if you've got nobody to buy, like out at the dump where I worked, they've got like thousands and thousands and thousands of bales of this stuff stacked up
On a mountain.
4 high, and the bales are about, I don't know, I'm going to say a meter cubed,
Yep.
right? Like a meter on a side, so 3.5 feet or thereabouts on a side, cubes. So you're talking, say 14-foot tall stockpiles of these things that cover like an entire parking lot worth of space.
Yeah.
Right? They're huge.
And when they run out of space, what do they do with it?
When they run out of space, well, at the time they would send some of it to the plant that was supposed to shred garbage to feed to another plant that would then burn it to try and, through a distillation process, produce like an alcohol-based fuel.
Yep.
But that plant never actually got off the ground and got, into production. So basically what they would do is shred this stuff, and then they'd have no place to put it anyway. So they had a conveyor loop-back system set up so that if the plant that they were supposed to be feeding this shredded stuff to wasn't running, they would just shred it, and then they would put it on the conveyors and loop it back and load it into trucks and then haul it out to the landfill anyway.
Yeah.
So you could have saved all that money with that processing
By just throwing it in the landfill.
by just putting it in the landfill to begin with. Because it ended up in the same place anyway. The only difference is they spent like several tens of millions of dollars a year to play around with it first before it got there.
Yeah.
Right?
I can't carry anymore.
I don't know. That sort of thing, it's always
there has to be an end market for the stuff first, right?
Well, I know basically we used to export a ton of it to, say, the Philippines, for example, and then one of the reasons why the Philippines was threatening to declare war on us a while back was because they had mountains and mountains of our garbage sitting on their ports that they couldn't use for anything.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, what they were talking about was 1,000 tons, right? I remember that. Then there was 1,000 tons of garbage that was, at their port, right?
Yeah.
But you know what? 1,000 tons is an absolutely insignificant amount, right?
Compared to what you see wasted at the plant.
The plants that I worked at out there would process sometimes 1,400 tons of garbage a day.
Wow.
So that's like one day's worth of garbage for a city the size of the one we live in. That the Philippines was getting ready to go to war with us over, right? Like, it's ridiculous. It's the same thing as some years ago. I remember hearing a horrified report coming from Germany because one of their windmills, their gearbox leaked all the oil out of it. And it was like 200 liters of oil that got spilled on the ground. And it's like, you know how much 200 liters of oil is? It's like a 40-gallon drum.
Yeah.
Right? It's like slightly higher than waist height on me, and I can almost reach my arms completely around a 40-gallon drum. Right?
Yeah.
That's how much oil got leaked on the ground.
But it was a giant catastrophe for them.
Yeah, that we heard of all the way over here. Right?
Yeah, that actually made the paper.
Yeah. But that's because people don't understand what the real scale of it is, right?
Yeah.
200 liters sounds like a lot, but in the industry I worked in, we used to buy lubricants for everything from gear oil to motor oil for loaders and other equipment and stuff like that. And we used to buy it by the 40-gallon drum. So I have a pretty good idea, just how much 200 liters is, right? And it's not all that much. Wow, those guys are speedy.
Yeah, and they're very, very dangerous. We're just going to run to the next area for a second, and then portal back. And I picked up the waypoint for that area too, so then we're going to resurrect Buddy and then run back there.
Yeah. But that's the problem, right? I mean, it's a bit of an oversimplification, but I can remember seeing a thing on TV a while back. It was a few years ago now, where they were having this big event on the news where they were promoting these electric cars, and there was politicians and people like that there. And, like they were talking about how the electric car is so much cleaner and all that kind of stuff. And then somebody says, well, where does the power come from to charge the battery? And the politician says, well, you plug it into the wall over there. And then the guy says, well, where does the power for, that wall outlet come from?
Yep.
And somebody else chips in, oh, well, it's produced by the coal-burning power plant that's a few miles down the road.
Yeah, so you're not
right?
actually doing anything. You're just sacrificing. You're sacrificing your economic capability to drive the car. You're sacrificing your freedom of movement because they have less range.
Yeah.
And you're also sacrificing your ability to refuel the vehicle in a timely manner as well, because they take forever to charge, even at a fast charging station.
Yeah. Well, I know that here in the complex, where, like the condo complex where I live, we have one resident who has one of those cars, right?
Yep.
And we don't, this complex was built in 1975, so we don't have any outlets for charging electric cars here.
Yeah.
And, the condo corporation can't really afford to start putting those in anyway.
Because it's just too expensive.
Because it's too expensive. You'd have to raise your monthly rates to the point where people wouldn't want to pay it, right?
Or wouldn't be able to live here.
Or wouldn't be able to live here. But that one guy, I mean, he's already, burned out the breaker in his, because we have, power for people's block heaters.
Yeah, so that your engine doesn't freeze in the winter.
And what he's doing is he's plugging in his car into this, block heater outlet, and he's already burnt the breaker on his circuit out a couple of times, right?
Because it draws too much current.
Yeah, because it's not intended for that. And also, I mean, we have all small circuits around here too, right? Like every circuit in my unit here is a 15 amp circuit, right?
Yeah, not even 20 amps.
Yeah. Which means that, if you can't run the toaster and the microwave at the same time and that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, yeah. Or the coffee machine.
Because if you do, you'll trip the breaker.
Yeah. And so yeah, it's all nonsense. And I mean, I guess you know what too? I guess that kind of makes public my stance on electric vehicles. So be it. I don't care. I hate electric vehicles. I will never drive one.
Yeah. Well, the thing
I will never buy one.
The thing is, though, people are being, I think, kind of misled, and they don't really understand that just because you drive a car that has a big battery in it, that doesn't mean that you're being environmentally conscious or environmentally friendly.
And it doesn't mean that you're not using fossil fuels. It just hides it away from you.
It just basically, it just hides it, right? Because, we'll have to face up to the fact that the oil industry will never, ever go away.
Because we make too many things out of it.
Until there is absolutely no more fossil fuels left in the world, right?
I mean, for example, our headsets are made of plastic.
Yeah, and at that time, when fossil fuels eventually completely run out, I imagine civilization will collapse and we'll all revert back to like a Stone Age
Or we'll have to
again.
find some way to mass produce synthetic oil somehow.
Yeah.
That's probably more likely.
But that's the direction that they should be going in, not wasting time and money on some of these other things, right?
Yeah. And especially, too, I guess I'd even go as far as to say, because, a lot of these green energy things, they cost a lot of money and they don't tend to benefit the population at all.
Yeah.
Right? So, it's going to make your energy bill go up. It's going to make your vehicle maintenance prices go up. It's going to make the prices of everything else go up. So what do you get out of it? Well, you don't actually get anything out of it.
Yeah. And you know what? Before people, like, I'm not going to claim that I know a whole lot about everything, but I'm just a blue-collar guy, and I worked in the related industries where I got to see some of these things, right?
Yeah.
You know, I worked at the dump for 10 years. I happen to know exactly how the processes there all worked because I worked there.
Well, not to mention that, but you're also
and I saw what happened. You know, like they had a big, huge composting facility, and the city was very proud to boast that it was like one of the largest in the world and all that kind of stuff. But what did they do with the compost afterwards? They stockpiled it on a quarter section out at the far end of the property.
Yeah.
Because there was no end user for it. And then when they ran out of room, they loaded it into trucks and hauled it out to the landfill.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but you also have a bit of an engineering education as well. So you actually know how, like, gearboxes and windmills work and things like that, and heavy machinery.
Yeah, because I basically worked, actually, for my entire career, like over 30 years, I worked with and for engineers of various types, mostly mechanical engineers.
Yeah.
And, you know, like I was performing technical work for these people, right?
Okay, we got another mage boss. That's not so bad. I say before getting killed by the mage boss.
Yeah. So although I have never, you know, seen a, you know, wind farm, I understand enough about machinery, and then having read a little bit about how they work, that I have a pretty good idea how they work, right?
Yeah. Because, I mean, you're the guy who did work on things like big, massive rock crushers and things by hand, right?
Well, basically, you any kind of rotating equipment, right?
Yeah. And I mean, you know, and then, you know, there's just also the idea of, you know, like, well, maybe people have the idea, well, we need to make sacrifices of ourselves in order to save the environment. Maybe people have that kind of idea. It's like, well, but if nobody else is sacrificing ourselves, and Canada, with its 40 million population, is sacrificing itself, what are we actually going to accomplish?
Well, the thing is that because our country has less people in it than the state of California, right? The amount of pollution that we produce in the world is really insignificant compared to many other countries, right?
And I mean, you might argue that it's somewhat more, like, we produce somewhat more because of the fact that we have to heat our homes in the winter and things like that, but it's either do that or die, so,
yeah,
you know, I think I'd rather just not freeze to death and die.
Yeah.
Personally, I think it's probably fine if a northern nation produces a little bit more than a southern nation, just because we have to heat our homes.
Yeah, but you know what? I still remember that map that you showed me, though, of pollution patterns in the world. Yeah. And I mean, even the United States produces, like, what, 5% of the world's pollution?
Something like that, yeah. We're not even...
And we're not even a blip on the, you know, in the total, right? And 90% of the world's pollution is produced by China and India and developing nations in Africa.
That's right.
Because they're the ones that are burning coal to generate electricity and all that kind of stuff, like huge amounts.
Yeah, meanwhile, our local government gives us a notice that we have to conserve power for the winter because the windmills locally froze.
Yeah.
Solid.
Big surprise.
Because we live in a climate that's like equivalent to Siberia. Of course they were going to freeze. They were always going to freeze. Ouch, 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 that hurts. That did not feel good. Oh, there's a boss monster there. That's not good. Oh, he's not so tough, though.
But anyway, I'm sure that if we lived in some countries, we could get into trouble for saying the things that we just said, but...
Yeah, well, you know, it is what it is.
And I'm not a scientist, and I'm not a high mucky muck engineer or anything like that. But
Although you are a engineering technician.
technologist, yeah.
Oh yeah, technologist, yeah.
But with 30 years of experience. But yeah, like I said, I worked with...
And I actually, part of where I ended up getting that pollution map from was I studied Earth and atmospheric sciences at my local university.
Yeah.
So, you know, as part of that, I actually had to learn and understand how all that stuff worked.
Yeah, so that wasn't just a phony baloney source. That was something
like from the university that I was studying
yeah,
at.
That was something that was actually educational material.
Yeah,
right?
they provided it to us. It's not something that I dug up on the internet on my own. I don't even know where I would go to find something like that. And keep in mind, too, they were also very much of the idea that we needed to make sacrifices in the name of climate change, too, at the university. They were definitely not taking action on climate change by any means. So that was the perspective with which I was given the information that I was given. But yeah, I guess that sort of reveals my opinions on the topic. Hopefully I didn't offend too many people too badly.
Yeah, well, the thing is that, I don't know what the real agenda is, but, if people in leadership are really sincere about reducing pollution and all that kind of stuff, well, they're not thinking this whole thing through, right?
No, well, I think basically they're just looking for a talking point that they can check off on a list, like be like check a box and be like, yeah, I did this for climate change.
Yeah,
vote for me in the next election.
They can look like they were being very conscientious, right?
Yeah, and then people can be like, wow, the guy I voted for, he did all these wonderful things that didn't help me at all and made my life more unaffordable. And meanwhile, we wonder why the average price of a house a couple of years back was cited across the country as $800,000 Canadian.
Yeah.
And why apparently food prices have skyrocketed to the point where people are concerned about that. And some of the political parties are like, we want to make housing affordable again, and we want to make food affordable again. And it's just like, why are these political platform talking points in a first world country?
Yeah, well, the thing is that if you're going to do all of those things, well, everything comes down to energy, right?
Yeah, and it seems like we had those things a couple of years ago, and now we don't.
Especially here in this part of the world, like energy prices drive everything, right?
Yeah. And again, because of our climate, we're always going to be reliant on energy to live any kind of, non-Arctic lifestyle, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess for those of you guys who want a reference, yes, there's that map out there that shows that 50% of Canadians live below a particular line that is below, the 42nd parallel in latitude? I can't remember which latitude line it
doesn't
is.
matter, because you know what?
We're part of the 50% that lives above that line, so it's much colder here.
Well, either way, too, I mean, you know what? Right now, it's pretty cold in... we see a lot on the news recently about things going on in Minnesota. Well, it's pretty cold in the state of Minnesota right now.
Which is also south of that line.
Right? Any state bordering the U.S., bordering the Canadian border has a very similar climate to what we live in right now, too.
That's right, yeah.
Right? So in the wintertime, they get cold winters and snow and all that kind of stuff, just like we do.
Yeah, such as the hazard of living in a continental climate. Because we have the extreme weather patterns and things like that. It's not quite the same as in Europe, because Europe has large amounts of bodies of water around it that help regulate the climate somewhat.
Yeah.
Whereas here, it could be and I guess because we're talking Europe now, I'll switch over to Celsius. It could be minus 40 one day. And then, I think probably the highest temperature we ever saw here during a summertime was if we go back to Fahrenheit, like 100 degrees Fahrenheit or something like that. And that's actually not even that hot compared to how it can get, because I remember my buddy, I have a buddy from Oklahoma who was part of experiencing a heat wave a while back, and it hit something like 120 or 130 degrees Fahrenheit there.
Yeah.
And she's like, holy shit.
Yeah, I've never experienced temperatures of like that, actually.
Yeah.
Because here, you know, like I think typically a warm summer day here would be like 80 degrees, you know?
Yeah.
And that would be warm enough that we'd have the air conditioner on in the bedroom at night and stuff like that, right? Like,
which would make some Americans laugh at us.
Yeah, but for us, though, that's uncomfortably warm to sleep and that kind of thing.
Yeah, because
right?
a temperature like 60 or 70 is fairly average for most of the year.
Yeah. Well,
right.
For most of the non-winter months, anyway.
That's right. If you include spring, summer, and fall. And so that's around like 10, 15 degrees Celsius, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, well, 20 degrees is basically room temperature, right? You know, like for here, I guess. Well, I mean...
depending on how hot you heat your house.
My wife likes to set the thermostat in the house for 23, which is, I don't know, about 75 degrees Fahrenheit, something like that. So that's basically room temperature in my house anyway. And that's what it's, you know, like, you know, in June, July, August, and even for a ways into September around here.
Yeah. But yes, our Diablo 2 session turned into a rant fest.
Yeah, well, you know. What can I say? I have no idea how we get to this point sometimes. It just happens. I think we started off talking about inflated numbers in video games,
inflated
right?
numbers in video games.
Yeah, and it somehow morphed into that.
Yeah, well, I've got a couple of heads that I can sell at least.
I can't carry anymore.
You can't carry anymore.
I
you need
can't
to go
carry
back
anymore.
to town now.
I do.
Yeah.
How are we doing on time, anyways?
Oh, we're at just about an hour 40.
All right. Well, I'm not sure. Does this area that I'm in have a waypoint? I should check that. Frozen Tundra does indeed have a waypoint. So let's see if we can find the Frozen Tundra waypoint. And oh yeah, we also need to go over to the Halls of Pain and kill Neelathok. I was going to do that this episode, but I completely forgot.
Are you going to have enough time to do that?
No, I'll just do it in the next episode.
Yeah.
But we need to find the Frozen Tundra waypoint out here, wherever it is, so that I can actually hit that. And yeah, so that we can actually have a place to continue off from. It took me forever just to get out of those glacial caves, right?
Yeah.
I guess in a way, it's easier to maneuver around with these bigger open areas. There's less risk, even though you face more enemies at once, there's less risk in getting stuck and getting trapped. So I don't have to go as slow. But I do need to find the waypoint. Oh, that's a boss pack. That lady is moving way faster than she has any right to, and that's because she's part of a boss pack. We'll kind of draw them backwards. Oh no, I guess she is just moving that fast. I thought she might have been part of a boss pack. I guess they fly fast. I've never really observed that before. Yeah, the bone archers here are a pain. Undead are always a pain, though, because we can't lifesteal off them.
Yeah, now you need to take a little break.
Yeah, I'll scout the immediate area in the tundra here, and if I still don't see the waypoint, then, well, you know, I'll probably hard cut this off at 2 hours and find the waypoint next time. Any waypoint over here? No. We're basically going to be combing through this place, running back and forth until we find a waypoint. It could even be further up. Ooh, shit.
Ooh, you just died again.
Yeah, I just died, and that was because I went and did that extra attack there, and I shouldn't have done that extra attack, because then I lost like 400 hit points hitting that guy. That sucks. Well, we'll resurrect our dickhead again, and then run back over, I suppose. We gotta run back from here, so which means we need to go south. And then I need to pick up my equipment again.
Wow. You got to do a considerable backtrack here in order to do this.
Yeah, well, it's just basically I run through here, through this area. I thought I got the Crystalline Passage waypoint, but then apparently I didn't. Oh, I know, this is a Glacial Trail, so I need to go up. I need to go up and to the right. And then that's where we were. And again, that's a bit of a hazard of just never having enough hit points, because no matter what we seem to do, we just can't get enough hit points. Okay, my corpse is somewhere up here. There we go. Pick up our potions. There we go. Fully equipped and everything. But we can't take that kind of punishment, so we'll just kind of fall back here. And actually, I'm just going to do a little bit of scouting here. That's a boss pack. We'll kind of just ignore that guy. That's a wall. Okay, we'll get trapped if we go in there. Is that lady also a boss? Might be better if we run up this way on the side. Kind of like we did when we were going up these ways from the previous encounter. Like when we were back trying to free the siege, break the siege on the whatever the fuck place. The barbarian town?
Oh, I don't remember.
You don't remember that we broke the siege? Yeah, we broke the siege on the barbarian town.
Oh.
That was part of why we ended up here to begin with. But it might be easier to push up the mountain and find that waypoint if we walk around the walls instead of attempting to walk through them. Man, there's a lot of archers.
Yeah, there's a lot of enemies in general.
Okay, that's a well. There'll be a waypoint around here somewhere, I promise. At some point. We'll just dodge all the arrows, run past everything, run to the waypoint. That's an optional side area, by the way. Oh, we could go through. Oh, that hurt a fair bit. Mass fire of arrows hurts. Don't get mass fired on by arrows. It's not a good idea. And that's a boss pack over there that we just ran past. Thankfully things de-aggro when you run far enough away from them.
Yeah. Otherwise you'd have like 500 things. You'd have so many things chasing you and you'd probably crash the game.
Not likely. But we do need to go back and get some more potions, so I'm going to keep running around like this, because I am drinking lots of potions while we run. I need to smash down this door, too. And then probably go back to town is the fastest way to get healed. There. And we'll buy another potion while we're at it. Because I need to break through this area in order to actually continue on, which means we need to at least kill some of these enemies. Okay, I can run through that now. Feed Buddy a healing potion so that he doesn't die while he's stuck over there. And then we can continue looking for this waypoint. But it took us forever to get through those damn caves, and I don't want to have to go through them again. Ouch, ouch, ouch.
Yeah. You get caught in between a couple of big packs like that, you're gonna die.
I think we're about to anyways. Oh,
maybe not.
Not quite, but we were very close. Oh, Buddy just died.
You need to get some distance between yourself and all these things that are chasing you.
Oh, it's the things that are shooting me that's the biggest pain in the ass. Okay, that's all locked in. We can't go anywhere there. Yeah. I gotta stop getting my mouse stuck on the seam in this armchair. With any luck, there'll be a way up and around these walls over here, perhaps. Okay, we're gonna resurrect Buddy, because we need to break through that, and there's things following me that I need him for. So imagine coming through this area and actually attempting to clear this area just so that you can get through it safely and find the waypoint in any reasonable amount of time.
Yeah, it would take you all day.
But anyways, we need Buddy so that he'll provide distractions for things while we break down that barricaded door and then wait for our healing potions to take effect. Plow our way through that lady. I guess they brought the catapults back. See? Catapult there?
Yeah.
Feed Buddy a potion. Not that it helped him last time. I think he was just like almost totally dead the entire time. Waypoint! We found the waypoint. And then I'd like to find the entrance to the next area, because if I have to come through here again, then I'll have to deal with that again. So I should at least figure out what direction I need to head. Fed Buddy another potion there. Okay, so it looks like we gotta go through up to this ice wall and into this area. So that it'll be where we're heading for next time. But for now, I think we're just gonna go back. We're gonna sell our crap. We have our waypoint. We can go back when we need to. We can skip over all of that glacial cavern crap. We don't have to go through all that again, because that took forever. And there's not really any easy way to run through that either, because it's so congested, right?
Well, that actually looked like it was pretty heavily populated.
Yep. But that's why we have waypoints, and that's why we have all these charms. Look at that. Buddy has 75% resist all, and he still got killed by magic damage. He also has more health than us. He has 1,305 health. We only have 1,150 health. Sorry, yeah, 1,305. What a weird number. But anyways, so next time we'll be able to continue from the frozen tundra if we choose, but I'm actually going to go down here to this red portal next time, and we're going to go through the Halls of Pain and kill Neelathok. Because that's actually what we were supposed to do this episode, and I just completely and totally forgot and skipped ahead.
Afternoon.
So, I guess until next time.
I'm Sandman99.
And I'm RecV5. Have a good one.